Follow along as I unpack this huge road trip haul. While the museum was closed due to a facilities issue over the summer, I took a gig ferrying vehicles. I drove almost 5,000 miles across 12 states. And, of course, I had to stop to do a bit of treasure hunting along the way. I know it's now the new year. I shot this video back in August and September when I first moved back into the space. It's just taken me this long to get around to editing it. I've had a seemingly infinite list of projects I've been working on. Stick around till the end of the video to hear more about those. It should come as no surprise to anyone. The pastime that brings me the most joy is treasure hunting. Though I have a strict limit on how much I spend on acquiring new items, and a strict rule that I don't buy stuff online. But anywhere I travel, I always check if there are any estate sales happening in the area. Kansas City had some great ones while I was there. I went to one sale that was packed with vintage tins, literally rooms of them. I snagged a few that were in my price range. Grabbed lots of boxes, actually. Most of these ended up as Box of Treasures in our last release. I also, perhaps more oddly, love packing my treasures as I collect them. I love finding just the right thing to fit in each box, and Tetrising everything together to take up the least amount of space and keep everything safe. Packing is maybe my superpower. I can pack for any trip in a carry-on suitcase, no matter how long I'm going away or where I'm going. When I moved to Russia for 6 months, I only brought a carry-on suitcase. That being said, because of my dedication to finding treasures everywhere I travel, I almost always have to reevaluate my luggage on the way home. Those 6 months in Russia, I ended up coming home with a huge checked duffel bag full of things I found at this amazing flea market in St. Petersburg. While on the road, if I have time, I'll take a tour of local thrift shops as well. I found this travel backgammon set at a Goodwill. I also adore a good creative reuse store. I found this bag of mysterious slips. No idea their purpose, but just listen. Obviously, miniatures are a weakness of mine, but I also can't resist unplayable or homemade dice. I specifically collect dice that would never pass muster here in Vegas. The pips might be slightly off, the corners chipped, they're handmade, poorly balanced, etc. And I also collect lonely dominoes, lost game pieces, uneven bouncy balls, those objects that clearly have a backstory. I tend to value the valueless. I'm attracted to the forgotten pieces at the bottom of the junk drawer. The object you've had for so long, it's become sort of invisible. Those are the treasures that make my heart beat a little faster. Each of these pieces of trash/treasure hold what I call a residue of attention. All the things they've witnessed, the love and use they've been afforded. It feels a little like magic to get to hold that in your hand. Though few objects have anything remarkable about them alone, they seem to come alive when they become part of a grouping. It's important to me that each individual object adheres to my rules and stands on its own as a little piece of treasure, but more critically, when classified in mass, the meaning of the collection starts to shift. One lonely domino is charming, but seeing 50 of them, each with their own colors and sizes, weights, age, and wear, it becomes its own set, a sort of survey of possibilities, a survey of histories. Each collection is a highly personal experience. For me, those dominoes, though none of them look like the set I played with, the amalgam of them is a flood of nostalgia, punctuated by the face of my grandmother, the cool of the marble table we played on, and the feel of the dominoes in my hands. I like to say that the entire museum is essentially one giant nostalgia machine. a highly tangible manifestation of our collective memories. But it's also more than that. I think another aspect that brings people back over and over is the extensive categorization. We all want order in the chaos of the world. We want things, objects, ideas to slide neatly into discrete brackets of kinship. It's a form of belonging. The residue of attention on something like this embroidered tablecloth, it's impossible for me not to imagine who selected these colors, the hands that stitched these designs. That woman feels present to me. She's become a part of this place. And the hands that carved this impossibly delicate bone furniture set. Or the hands that crafted the tinsel embroidery on this hat. I love being able to honor their craft and their memories. Even though they remain anonymous to me, they are each an element of the enchantment of the museum. Putting things away at the museum offers such satisfaction for me, nestling each new object into just the right home. I often have to move stuff around to make space or reorganize certain drawers, but that's part of the pleasure of it. Drawers often get shuffled around a bit with so many visitors exploring them, so it feels good to put everything back in order, even if it is a slightly Sisyphean task. I also take the time to repair or sort any of the objects that are coming into the museum. These map tacks, for instance. A bunch of tacks had fallen out of the boxes, and it was clear that someone had used a tack to illustrate which color belonged in the box, so I put all those back. I have an irrational love of map tacks. I've used very few in my life, but there's something about them that smacks of glamorous adventure and yellowed pages of elegant slanting script. You know what I'm talking about, right? I have a whole collection of map tacks, and actually, they will make an appearance in my next video in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. These golf pencils were so pleasing, all square in their little cardboard box. I honestly couldn't resist them. They don't fit quite as well in this drawer, but it still feels pretty cozy. Especially next to these odd lenses I found at the Creative Reuse store in Boulder. My instincts were right, even if my execution was flawed. I got there eventually. I got this funky old set of drawers made from cigar boxes for a steal because it was missing 2 drawers. But I acquired a stack of cigar boxes on this trip and was hoping I could find a few to fit. I considered painting and aging the boxes to match the rest of the drawers. But I like the way the unpainted boxes really highlight the layers of use this set of drawers has had, and continues to have. So I'll keep the boxes unpainted for now, and the drawers will slowly fill up as I find just the right things to load them with. We have, perhaps surprisingly, a lot of empty drawers at the museum. I put a good deal of weight on finding the right fit for each drawer. And the museum, as is obvious from this video, is always in the process of growing and changing. If you watched my last video, you know that my studio is constantly buried under new donations, future displays, repairs, and various other projects that will end up in the exhibition space eventually. I love that the museum is ever evolving, but I also wish I could have my studio back sometimes. Maybe someday we will be big enough to have a separate processing room. Maybe even a staff member or 2 to help out. Big dreams for 2024. But also plenty of very accomplishable goals, too. I'm changing my schedule up to make more time for the other parts of my art practice that feed me, both figuratively and literally. I've been developing some really fun new creations for our gift shop. I'm excited to have time to make some of the stuff I've only been dreaming about until now. As usual, our Ko-Fi members will have early access to both news and those limited edition projects I've got planned for the year. So be sure to check out our Ko-Fi page if you're interested in joining the club. Thanks for watching. Sending more New Year's wishes from the museum.